Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3736. Maybe today's date is date. Okay, all right. So today's date is 1st of December 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:51 a.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. Okay. So wait. All right. The question is, what if every product improve user life? Okay. Okay. Like this question is yeah, it's little bit, it's not weird, it's okay. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? This is what if question. Why am I asking this question to myself? What if question is always really interested way to give the answer. It kind of like a force you to think about that reality. And when I try to think about that reality, I kind of like a simply utilizing my knowledge and kind of like a simply try to tell this reality and things like that. It kind of like a feel really good. It's kind of like a such a question that key, like what, it's not the answer of this question is not kind of like a stagnant, like basically what exactly 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. No, it's a kind of like a simply question where answer would be kind of like a very different, like basically this thing why 2 plus 3 is not 7. So basically when you ask this question, you actually understand what is actually the meaning of the number and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. So that's why it kind of like a bit really interested way to give the answer, because it kind of like a simply question you regarding about the question, not just kind of like a simply like it, you have to evaluate the question first, then have to give the answer, and that's what kind of like a little bit of interesting way to kind of like give the answer. Disclaimer: the information that I'm trying to tell you is not exactly right or is not exactly wrong either. It's raw, it's unfiltered, so it's just my opinion. So do not believe in any kind of like information that I'm saying, or do not seek for any kind of like information that I'm saying. It's just my opinion, and opinion are subjective. Alright. Now regarding about the question says, what if every product improve the user life? Now what exactly is this thing? Every product improve the user life means what? A kind of like a product that improve the user life. Okay, let's just take a simple example. The mobile phone. Okay, the mobile phone that you have, is this kind of like a simply product is improving your life? Well, yeah, like basically I can contact with anyone. Okay, yeah, if I wanted to talk with anyone, I can just dial the number and I could talk. Okay, yeah. um it improvising my life much more better. Like this mobile phone is a kind of like a something that can do such a thing that probably it just like a help me in multiple possible way. Like basically is this thing, through my mobile phone I can pay money to anyone. Okay, yeah, with UPI network and things and that. With mobile phone I can talk to the anyone. Okay, yeah. uh, with this mobile phone I could access internet, so that I'm kind of like a getting knowledge and things and that. So basically is this product is kind of like improving my life? Yes, it is improving my life too, but still this product is also kind of like a something is this thing that key, um kind of like a somewhat something, like what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Yes, my mobile phone is a kind of like a simply improving my life, but kind of like a simply decreasing what is actually kind of like a simply opposite word for improving, disproving. No, disapprove, kind of like a very different thing. Improving means improvisation, and what is actually opposite word for that? Wait, let me google it. Opposite word for improvisation, opposite word for improving, what is the word? Or opposite word. Okay, wait. Improving, similar and opposite word from Oxford. Improve, opposite. Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically improve as a opposite word is opposite. Okay, yeah. Probably like basically worsen, impair, or decorable. I don't know. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Yeah. Like the mobile phone that I have, this product that I have, yes, it kind of like improving my life in so many possible way, but also it kind of like a simply doing the opposite of improving my life. Okay, sometimes like kind of like a simply is this thing that key I can watch porn. Okay, which is really not that good thing. Okay, sometime I just kind of like a simply watch uh, like uh, like basically I didn't really do that much kind of like assembly a wrong thing with my phone. Wrong thing means like that ki like scrolling on Instagram reels for kind of like hours and hours, and no, nothing really at all. I also not kind of like assembly waste my time. Yeah, sometime I like basically is this thing na ki I'm not kind of like assembly using my mobile phone to kind of like assembly just uh doing the kind of like assembly in improving my life. No, no, like opposite of the I need this particular word. What is at least this thing? Disadvantage. Okay, yeah, let's take a disadvantage. Okay, advantage and disadvantage. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, yes, my mobile phone, I'm kind of like it kind of like give me a lot of advantage regarding about that ki I could access internet, I could talk to anyone, I'm kind of like watching bunch of videos that kind of like improvising my knowledge and things like that. But there is also disadvantage too. Okay, yeah, is that ki I didn't really watch that many kind of like reels and things like that, but so many people kind of like watch so many reels. Okay, yeah, they spend almost like hours of watching reels and things like that. They are kind of like somebody just get into the phone and they never really look up. Okay, yeah, like even if the social gathering and things like that, they still kind of like looking at their phone, and god knows what they are kind of like doing it there. Okay, notification, lack of focus, things, these are also kind of like somebody makes it little bit of disadvantage and things like that. But still what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, yes, every product is kind of like some ups and downs. Okay, yeah, it's kind of like somebody up to you, it's kind of like up to the user that how much can you kind of like somebody utilize this product for good purposes or wrong purposes. If the person is kind of like utilizing your product for wrong purposes, then probably, yeah, is this thing no one will gonna stop and things like that. That thing will kind of like somebody, it's kind of like it depends on user. Okay, yeah, it's a kind of like a device that it's up to you that if you wanted to kind of like make your device kind of like add some sort of value, that value in you, then it kind of like somebody being asset. Like basically for me this mobile phone is became really asset. Like because of this mobile phone I could access internet, which because of this thing I'm kind of like uploading my YouTube videos on YouTube platform. Okay, uploading my videos on YouTube platform. Okay, yeah, because of this mobile phone I'm kind of like accessing so much amount of internet. Okay, yeah, my entire day I kind of like watch YouTube videos regarding about the scientist stuff, Get Set Fly channel, Dhruv Rathi and other Nitesh Rajput. Most of the kind of like a influencer video that I watch, those videos are kind of like simply add so much amount of values and things like that. Also I'm kind of like learning micro learning games. Okay, Duolingo, Elevate. Okay, yeah, Lumosity, Brilliant, these are application are really good. Those are kind of like some improving my life and things like that. Also I'm kind of like taking course app development, which is also possible is because of this internet that I have. So basically yes, this mobile phone is kind of like give me a lot of kind of like simply value, advantage and disadvantage too. It's up to kind of like a user. Okay, yeah. But the question is that the question says that what if every product improves the user life? So basically this mobile phone, yes, it is kind of like assembly improving my life. Okay, yeah. But let's just talk about different product. Okay, let's just say kind of like let's just say a water bottle. Okay, yeah. If I'm gonna say a water bottle is can it improving my life? Well, if I have water bottle, then how much it kind of like improve my life? Well, probably it's nothing na. A water bottle is kind of like meant to be for kind of like a storing water. Okay, yeah, storing some sort of amount of water and things like that. Like basically the typical water that you have right now is kind of like a some storage water that you could kind of like a drink the water, that's it. Okay, yeah. But what if I could kind of like make such a water bottle that kind of like a something remind you that you should supposed to be drink, which is kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. As also is this thing that he at sometimes I'm kind of like a bit really lazy to kind of like a go and kind of like a somebody put the kind of like a somebody hot water or kind of like a cold water according to season and things like that. Let's just say in the summer there is a kind of like a water automatically turn into kind of like a cold water. Okay, yeah. If it happened, then yeah, it would be really good and things like that. It kind of like a somewhat something kind of like improving my life. Mostly is this thing that key, what if that water bottle kind of like a remind me to drink water, which is kind of like a really essential. And if it possible, basically there are multiples of kind of like assembly bottles are actually exist today, but those are very costly. Okay, yeah. And the cheap bottle that you are getting, it just kind of like assembly just plastic bottle, and those are kind of like a really not good thing, because they contain microplastic, which kind of like assembly crippled your mind. If you are kind of like consuming so much amount of water from plastic bottle, that is also not really good. Okay, yeah. But still, if I'm kind of like assembly, this product will definitely gonna improve my life. If that particular product, let's just say water bottle, could kind of like remind me to kind of like a when should I supposed to be drink the bottle, when should I supposed to drink the water, yeah, that would be kind of like a really good. Okay. Another thing, let's talk about the chair. Okay, yeah. Let's say that the right now chair is a kind of like a only just a typical chair. Okay, yeah. You just kind of like a sit and things like that. But what if I could invent such a chair that could kind of like assembly arrange my body posture in such a way that I could sit properly, like basically straight and things like that. Because in typical chair you would just kind of like a sit there for kind of like relax and things like that, but your body posture is kind of like a completely depend on you, and you are kind of like a bit lazy regarding about that. But what if I could kind of like make a such a chair with which kind of like a simply force you to kind of like a sit properly with kind of like a proper back and shoulders and things and that, I don't know, but yeah, somewhat something. It kind of like a gives you relaxing, as well as kind of like a gives you little bit of discipline to do kind of like a work and things like that. Okay, yeah. Also sometime that chair will kind of like a remind me to kind of like a stand up and kind of like a walk for a while. If I'm kind of like a sitting there for almost like a hours and hours, the chair would kind of like a vibrate and kind of like a say that ki you should supposed to be walk for a while. This would be really good. Okay, so basically it kind of like improving the user life. Okay, yeah, this would be really great. But still those are actually exist. Yeah, it's not really that ki those chair are not exist, but still those are expensive. Okay, yeah. So what exactly is this thing? What is exactly my point of perspective? My point of perspective is this thing that ki yes, there are so many kind of like a product are available at improvising user life. Okay, yeah. There is another, like a couple of days ago I was kind of like watching a kind of like a video regarding about the YouTuber who kind of like assembly invest in mattresses. Mattresses is a really good kind of like assembly. This mattress is kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. It kind of like gives you sleep as early as quickly as possible as you can. Okay, yeah. You just kind of like lay down and kind of like assembly, you just kind of like went into the sleep. Like a sleep is kind of like a very much essential thing. Okay, yeah. And most of people are kind of like affected by kind of like not getting sleep during the night because of the kind of like assembly utilizing mobile phones and things and that. But I kind of like watch a kind of like a mattresses which kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah, that you cannot able to use your mobile phone in that particular mattresses. Okay, yeah. Like basically I don't know, but this mattresses has a kind of like a particular jamming signal is over there. Since you kind of like lay down, their jamming signal is on and you won't be able to kind of like access any internet or things or nothing will at all. You can access like basically if that mobile phone is kind of like a little bit away from you, then yeah, that mobile phone that you could access and things like that. But basically if you kind of like that mobile phone kind of like close to the mattresses, let's just say 1 feet away, then probably that mobile phone is kind of like jam all the signal and things like that. So which is really good. Okay, yeah, which kind of like lets you to kind of like when you try to sleep, take your mobile phone away from you. So it would be kind of like really helpful, which kind of like improve the user life. As well as this mattresses is kind of like a really good that it kind of like how a lot of kind of like some sensors and things like that. It kind of like gives you really very smooth smooth kind of like a sleeps and things like that. Okay, yeah, which also kind of like a gives you remind regarding about application that you have to be sleep, you have to be sleep for almost like a 7 hour or 8 hour or things like that. So yeah, this would be kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. So basically, and yes, those are mattresses that still exist. It's not really that it's not actually exist. But the problem is that those are kind of like a product are very expensive. Like the normal mattresses and kind of like only the typical this mattresses or any kind of like a chair or water bottle, those are almost like a 10 times costier than 10 times kind of like a higher price of the normal thing. Okay, yeah. So obviously those are products that actually exist. Those are products are kind of like improvising user life, but probably those are very kind of like a very expensive, and not everyone people could afford that particular stuff. Okay, yeah. Maybe kind of like some rich people could kind of like afford that thing, but a kind of like a normal people they don't really afford and things like that. So basically is this thing that he like basically that product would be kind of like only available, but it's not really that key, it's meant for everybody. Okay, yeah. Like it's not gonna meant for everybody. Like basically is this thing na ki these are kind of like an exclusive product. Okay, yeah. They are not meant for mass production. Until and unless everyone kind of like a buy, but still it's kind of like a depend on money, dude. If you are kind of like invented such a mattresses which kind of like a do this, do that, then probably is this thing that mattresses would you will gonna sell these mattresses in even more higher price, na? Because the product that can do is kind of like a really improvising your life and things like that. So obviously you will kind of like a charge more amount of money, and obviously there are very less people who are kind of like simply paying that much amount of money for that particular purposes. So yeah, this is what it is. Okay, yeah. But yeah, this is the way that makes a kind of like a make the user life, make the every product kind of like improve the user life. Yeah, this is the way that. All right, this is it. I was supposed to be end here, and thank you.